Good time zone, everybody. Welcome to the fourth round of the Simufur GT3 Championship in a very wet and very dark Donington Park. It's going to be some very tricky conditions here for all of our competitors on this potentially quite treacherous, quite technical track here in the British hillside here. We're going to be here live on YouTube, providing the commentary for this very exciting race with me and my co-commentator Newbie.
Hi, how's everyone doing? Hope everyone's having a good weekend. But yeah, very flooded, very wet. I think catching some of the new drivers off guard how damp it is. But you know, we are racing drivers after all. It is conditions that we have to adapt to get this over and done with.
Absolutely, indeed, and we only have a couple of minutes left on this, actually not the actual practice session, but the pre-practice session, because we wanted to start off this commentary a little bit earlier than normal here, so we could just have a proper discussion on what's going to be going on in this championship, because it's going to be, we're already midway through the championship, time has really been flying by, and there has been quite a lot of interesting things that have been happening throughout this championship here. If we're going to be moving over into our transitionatory screen here, so I want to be giving a bit of a look on how the point situation is looking so far. So at the top, we have quite a big shocker. Plasma, previous overwhelmingly leading the championship, dropped down to third after that very unfortunate retirement where they kind of, we discovered it ended up, they sent themselves way too fast into the pit entry on Misano. That caused them to be immediately disqualified, so they got no points, and now this gave Azure Goat and Grim Lilith the opportunity to get up into the top of the field. So quite exciting stuff that's going to be happening over there, and it's also going to be getting even more interesting mixed up packing in the top 5 and top 10 as well here. So quite a bit interesting stuff, if I do say so myself. But I also want to be giving a bit of a highlight to, that's going to be here in the Silver Championship. Because if we're going to be moving on over here, you can see Lunatic has just been running away with it with quite a dominant streak so far. The gap doesn't seem too far at the moment. But Luna, with now 2 wins in a row, they are just on a really good runaway fight at this moment. And if they're going to be able to keep up this kind of form for future races as well, we could perhaps even see them securing this championship in a very unusual car for their normal choice of the McLaren 570S instead of, 720S, instead of the usual Porsche that they would be one here. And we have also similar kinds of situations happening in the AM class championship as well, where we see a Zephyr rising up into the brand new lead of the AM class championship as well, with Zephyr, or actually, Zezors, not finishing the race last time around, so they lost quite a few points, and therefore this is quite some exciting stuff around it, and we still have 2 more rounds to go in this championship, so I am, for one, looking forward to all of these races.
Yeah, definitely a lot of exciting, great shuffles here, but also you have to remember we have a drop round, so you know, as much as we see some drivers losing points, we might see the points get them using, you know, their bad rounds as their drop rounds, but it also shows how important it is to just at least finish the race. You know, having even Plasma just not getting disqualified, that already basically pushed started off as a runaway for the overall champion, basically dropped them off into third. So I think this is something that drivers need to take note and to be very careful, you know, in their racing. Gotta make sure that the less mistakes that you make every race, the better it is, and it's definitely going to be very good for you in the long run, especially when there is, you know, 3 more rounds remaining, including tonight.
Yes, indeed. This championship is all about consistency, indeed, but we have these drop rounds indeed to hopefully mitigate the criticalness of what would happen if you were to have a bad race for once. So what drop rounds means in this context is that from the 5 rounds we're going to be having for this, 6 rounds we're going to be having for this championship, only your 5 best results will be counting. So if you have like one bad race where you get disqualified or have a bad crash and end up dropping into the back of the field here, that does not mean that your chances of winning the championship or just getting a good result in the championship is not going to be over, because this is going to give you the opportunity to just make it even better in your last other 5 rounds to make up for that lost points you had in your one bad round. That's going to be giving you a bit of more of a buffer zone. But now with our drivers like Zezors or Plasma not able to get those good rounds at all, they've just been plummeting down the orders quite catastrophically, and they no longer have that safety buffer of being able to get away with another bad race if they do have one of those. So it's going to make things a bit more interesting for our previous race leaders. So it's going to be quite interesting that we can see what's going to be happening in these final couple rounds of this championship.
Yeah, and especially with how wet we have seen Donington this week, and with how it's you see even in practice we see some of the drivers that we don't usually see on top of the field. I think we're gonna see quite a significant upset this time around. With before we came here, we see Simon Luck in the Aston Martin in P1. Seems like Aston Martin is going to be very strong here, especially in the very wet conditions, and as well as I think I see here in the timing sheets before it ended, Zizor, our M driver in P5. I think some of the drivers that are usually pretty well versed in mixed conditions, showing themselves that they are pretty good at controlling their cars in these sort of conditions. But as well as we see but we don't see the full picture just yet, given that it's the pre-practice as we head on into the practice session. So we'll have to see what entails in qualifying to see what the grid will be like in the race.
Absolutely, indeed, and it's still not it's still not fully guaranteed that we're going to be having a proper flooded wet conditions during the qualifying or the race session, because there is still a bit of a variability for this championship here, for this championship race here. With I do believe the actual official conditions they listed was highly variable, so we have seen throughout this week that's going to be everything from being fully flooded conditions to even some dry patches as well. So we're going to be just waiting a couple more minutes for the actual race server to go live here to see what kind of conditions we could be seeing throughout the actual session here. But in the meanwhile, I'm going to be quite interested to see what our competitors here, because rain has normally been the great equalizer. Well, Barra's not even an equalizer, but in this game more just like an equal divider, because it's going to be, the cars are not going to be quite as important. In this case, it's going to be more down to how well you can control your car in these low grip conditions. And our drivers, perhaps like Simon Luck and Zizos, who may have been a bit more experienced in like low grip condition racing, like perhaps in rallying, I could give them the edge they need to get the maximum out of their cars in these very mixed and very tricky conditions. And that's why we have seen them being able to get to the very top of these standings here. Perhaps they will be able to convert this into even good race results.
Yeah, and that's I guess that's the beauty of sim racing, when you are able to get yourself well versed in different principles outside of road racing. It really gives you the advantage in terms of knowing how to handle your car in minimal grip conditions, learning how to focus more on exits instead of carrying momentum through corners. I think some of the drivers that are really well versed in rallying are going to see very good results here. I think the likes of Simon Luck has already shown that having this sort of advantage is really advantageous for these sort of odd rounds. And yeah, hopefully with these wet conditions, you will never know, because rallying is, despite it being some sort of endurance to some, is only a lap, whereas we have almost an hour here. If drivers are able to survive it, hopefully we'll be able to see drivers, have an upset in the standings. But also, before I hand it off back to Denak, there is one small thing that certain new drivers might not know, is that in Assetto Corsa Competizione, you don't get the pit crew does not give you wet tires by default. So some drivers might need to know this before they go out, in case they might actually mess up their pits during the race.
Yes, we have seen that in the past where in the actual wet conditions you do not automatically give the option to switch out your tires during pit stops, and that has caused some issues with some drivers who have not done the pit stop the proper way they should have, which have then caused them to not have a valid pit stop, and then they get a really massive time penalty at the end of the race here. So we're hoping that everybody here in this race is going to be keeping that in mind and making sure they get those fresh boots under their cars here, because they're going to be absolutely needing it, because we are now finally live on our proper race server in the proper practice session, and it's indeed quite good. It's not quite in the flooded conditions that we saw in the pre-practice session, but we are already seeing in the radar rain is going to be increasing. There's going to be this is probably going to be a very similar situation as well in the actual qualifying session. So it's going to be very interesting indeed to see what kind of times our competitors are going to be able to once it's going to be time for qualifying.
Yeah, I think cars are really, really twitchy in the dry, such as the Audi, the Porsches. All the Porsches are still pretty fine, but especially the Audi is gonna really suffer in the wets unless they are able to tame it well. And I have no doubt that Plasma is able to tame it well, but you'll have a harder time staying alive here compared to the Aston Martin offset Simon Luck, which is, very stable, very beginner friendly, and honestly, an amazing workhorse to some, and it's gonna be a very good advantage here in Donington Park at this sort of conditions.
Yes, indeed, and the mixed conditions here can be quite treacherous for these cars as well, because especially towards Sector 1, Sector 2, with turns, like pretty much from turns 2 all the way to turn 6, you take them at very fast speeds. And high-speed corners is the absolute bane of what you can have in mixed conditions. So these drivers are gonna have to really lift off, really slow down a lot more than they normally would to get these cars around these very tricky mixed conditions here. So with the as we already see with Plasma here currently on track, they are just extracting everything out of that car, and they are really being mindful of it around those curves. Because if you get your wheel a bit too much on those really wet, slippery curves here, that's going to give you the risk of just spinning out your car entirely. So another thing these have to keep in mind here, but I also wanted to highlight that on top of these conditions here, we also have this video game Assetto Corsa competition. If you want to join us for these championships here, now is going to be your best opportunity, because after this round we're going to be going on a week-long break for Midwest Fair Fest, because a lot of our competitors are going to be in that competition. But if anybody here wants to join us for these competitions, they are very fun, they are very, very exciting. You can now pick up Assetto Corsa Competizione for 70% off. It's a very good deal, and I very wholeheartedly recommend everybody here watching us join us for this championship race.
Yeah, I definitely recommend Assetto Corsa Competizione as a learner's sim as well, even though it's pretty hard. Some would say it's one of the hardest sim to get into, but I'd say, for me personally, that these sort of hard conditions are what makes it so unique. It's where you learn how to, put yourself in the hardest parts of racing, and get to learn a lot. And I think a lot of the drivers here, especially since coming from M all the way to Pro, have learned a lot in terms of racecraft, setups, learning side-by-side racing, and a lot of things that you don't really think about in other sims, such as well, I'm not going to name titles, but in other sims. But yeah, I think personally, it's the sim to go to. It's the hardest sim to go to, but it will give you results.
Yes, indeed. And we're already seeing a couple of our cars already going a bit wide in the very tricky final hairpin section in Donington Park. So we're going to be going in the full layout of Donington Park here, because it actually has two different layouts. You can see here on the map. You can see on the very right side, we can see where the drivers veer off to the right side from the map's perspective. That is the chicane. And if we were driving in the club layout, instead of turning left from that part, it would instead be turning right back towards the main straight here. So especially here, that double hairpin section at the back, that's going to be quite tricky, because I do believe both of them are downhill hairpin sections. So especially in these wet conditions, braking distances are going to be quite long. So it's going to be a bit of a challenge for our competitors to find that right braking point, as we saw with the 4 driver of this Ferrari 488, is that they missed their braking point a little bit here, and that caused them to go wide here. So something they will absolutely have to keep in mind during the race.
And that BMW in the barrier, I think that's going to be a few points on this track where you'll see drivers go off, one of which is at turn 7 at McLean's. The exit there, very, very, very challenging. If you go out too wide and you put the power too much, you will spin out there. Previous times when we are here in Simufur, we have seen drivers spin out there all the time. So even in dry conditions, that is a very tricky corner to get right. But somewhere else as well, as we said just now, the 2 hairpins of turn 11 and turn 12, both very big areas to get incidents with due to people missing their brakes. So this is where drivers need to watch out for, just in case things happen. And with these very wet conditions, the entire sector 1 from turn 1 all the way to turn 6, very scary, as we see a car in having to do a reverse on the track. Very, very tricky conditions. You will definitely need to have instincts as well as experience to know that once you don't hit the line that you would like, it's time to lift. And if drivers are not used to that, we might see drivers just go out with the grass and then losing control. That will not be ideal, but that is the reality with these kind of track conditions.
Yes, indeed. But now with only 3.5 minutes of this practice session to go here, let's have a bit of a look here on our timing sheets. And looking so far, it looks like the 115 Ferrari 296 of Grim Lilith has been able to secure the fastest time of the track so far, with the normal front runner of the championship here, Plasma, is securing themselves a P2. And these both competitors seem to be quite evenly matched here, with the third fastest driver in here being Azure Code, a whole 8/10 off the top time here. So it seems like Grim and Plasma have been able to unlock a bit more out of their cars than the other competitors have in these mixed conditions. And do you see this going to be similar results in the actual qualifying and the race?
I think time will tell. Seems like, as usual, Grim, Plasma, Cafe will be on their own league, but we do see some sort of promise for new competitors at the front grid in pre-practice, so we'll have to see. But in these sort of tricky conditions, it's anyone's game. Even the fastest drivers can make small mistakes, and in these conditions, small mistakes means they're going into the wall without any sort of control, and that will be very deadly for the race, and especially here in the chicanes, where usually drivers drive as close to the track limits as possible. With how much you will slide, you might get track limit warnings, a bit one too many, might get a couple of drive-throughs for some, or at worst, maybe losing control and maybe veering off into the barriers. So as much as like to predict, it's really hard to predict with these sort of driving conditions.
Yes, the chicane section here in Donington Park has been one quite a notorious section as well. I remember in the very first round of the Silver Championship here, we actually saw our front runners, I think it was Kestrel, back then in the Ferrari 296, who was actually on a chase down on to win, perhaps even win the first round of the Silver Championship, but because they had just sent themselves a bit too hard on that chicane section into the SS a bit too hard, and that caused them to have a late drive-through penalty, and then they just tumbled down the order here. So it's something they will have to actually keep in mind here. We have been talking a lot about how our drivers usually have been able to rein themselves in with the actual race so they don't get those drive-through penalties, but perhaps with Donington Park and how unforgiving these track limits are, with everything on the outside being grass, there's no runoff. Well, there is runoff, but the runoff is just grass and gravel. So if you dip your wheel on the grass here, especially in these mixed conditions here, you can just send your car spinning. And that could be quite some dangerous stuff for our competitors here. So something they will have to be aware of, as we now have 1 minute left to go on our practice session. It's going to be time for the race. So looking at our time so far, it looks like our usual suspects. We have Plasma, Grim at the front in the Pro class here. We also have Luna and Vex in the Silver and Amp classes respectively, still holding on those lead times here. Do you see if there's any possibility for any of the other competitors to secure pole positions in the Silver and Amp classes?
I think Blade might have a run at this, but we have to see. Blade is always usually very one of the drivers to look out for in competitions. Also given that they are in the Aston Martin, but it seems like they might be taking a small break in practice to prepare for qualifying, or we'll have to see. Vossi might be up for the fight with Lunatic. That is always a good sign. But if this is anything to see, maybe the top 3 on the Silver Champ might have a good fight within the top 10s in the overall leaderboard. As for the next competitor I see is basically Zezor, but honestly, Vex has been the entire season on its own.
Yes, indeed. It's looking to be again a home favorite here for Vex to secure that provisional pole position in the AM class. We're going to see what's going to be happening, because now it's going to be time for our qualifying here. So we're going to be hopping back into our transitionatory screen here while we're waiting for all of our competitors to get ready with their final runs around this track here. And it is still looking quite wet, so I'm going to be very excited to see if it's going to be similar kinds of wet weather in the actual qualifying session. And yeah, it's basically going to be mixing things up a little bit, because if I'm going to be looking at these times here so far, everybody from P5 down into P9, they're all separated by only about a half a second. Not even that. So I would say at least the lower half of the top end is going to be having a very close fight between themselves, looking at the pace so far.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting, as they say. Rain is the equalizer. At some point, with how heavy the rain is, you're basically grip limited. So even the fastest drivers will get slowed down by the helms of the weather track conditions. Mainly because at some point you just run out of grip, and you can only drive so fast when your grip's out when you don't have grip under you. So it'll be really interesting to see who is able to extract every last inch, every last ounce, every last second of pace as they could when qualifying starts, as we do right now.
Yes, we're going to be having a bit of a look here to see who will be the first driver from our split qualifying. again to see who will be leading at the front of the pack here. Let's just give it them a couple minutes here to get those right setups here going on. It's looking to be indeed another very, very wet qualifying session here I'm looking so far, and if I am correct, I do believe that is going to be the car number 22 of Vex who was able to get to the front of the field. Actually, I am mistaken, they just pulled back into the pits, probably put on the wrong setup here. So we're going to be hopping on into the perspective of Z-Source here, who's now going to be the first driver from the AM field here to get out on the track here, and it's looking indeed very wet. And look at that radar, even heavier rain predicted in 10 minutes. So it could perhaps even be a possibility, if it's going to be even heavier rain, this would give the opportunity for the AM or the silver drivers to get into the top of the field here, with the heavier rain really reducing the pace available for the pro drivers here.
Yeah, the pro drivers will definitely not like these conditions, mainly because it will bring a lot of uncertainty into the grid, and that's one thing that they do not like. Is pro drivers do not like uncertainty, especially with how mixed the skill sets are in this grid. We do like to see new drivers here, but the pro drivers definitely want to get out of the way as soon as they can, just so they could focus on their own race as they could. But actually, there's one thing as well that drivers need to be worried about in these mixed conditions, especially in Donington, given that it's all grass and not much proper concrete runoff, is the transitions between grass to concrete. When you get off into the grass section and come back into tarmac, you will have the risk of burping the tires. That's the act of losing pressure as you transition back from grass to asphalt. That has seen issues all the time for drivers as they get slow punctures. So that is definitely
we'll have to get back to that later, because now it's going to be time for the first lap around Donington Park with on board from Z-Source. They're not going to be going down into the turn where that very tricky real gate corner here with a very late apex, almost clipping into the pit exit here to get that good exit here, popping off into the downhill section towards turn 2, turn 3. Both of them just flat out, perhaps a little different lift here in these tricky conditions. We're going to be seeing them just balancing that forward. A little bit of a lift here going into turn 3 towards the turn 4. Old hairpin, not quite a hairpin, but still be called the old hairpin. Hitting with very conservative on the exit here to avoid getting that wheel spin on the exit of the car here, and then it can be just spinning around again, full throttle through the start east switch towards turn 5, turn 6, and into another tricky break zone to turn 7. A bit of an awkward entry, going to be losing a bit of time on that exit there, but still holding on nice and strong, and now going towards the obvious scoring car. Very long by Patrick here, where you can easily lose your rear if you're not going to be careful with that. Again, a bit of a lift here, balancing that forward just a bit, just to get unleashing all that power down towards the start east straight here, now towards the tricky SS section towards turn 9 and turn 10. Let's see how they're going to be bravely cutting into the chicane here. Quite conservative on the entry, but exit very, very cutting deep here. Bit of a wheel spin here, but still holding on strong. That's going to be the final 2 hairpins towards the Melbourne hairpin and Goodards here into turn 11, breaking hard. That 90-degree right-hander corner here, trying to find that exact exit speed here. Not quite able to get that right, but still holding on strong, and that's going to be for the final turn 12. But then another really long left hand here from here, just getting it as steep as possible here, straightening out that exit as much as you can, and then unleashing all that power. It's going to be first car across the line. It's going to be an opening time of a 1:36.470. So pretty decent time for our competitors so far.
Decent time for our AM driver, but will there be any other drivers that are able to answer to that? And I think as the drivers come by, they do, but we'll have to see Enter Midnight coming in, our second M driver, to cross the line at 1:38.4, almost 2 seconds behind Zezor. As you can see, a very solid lap that has been done by Zezor in these tricky conditions, as we see more drivers starting to set in their lap times. As I think even some of the silver drivers might have some difficulty trying to set the lap times to beat the M driver that's currently in pole right now.
Yes, indeed, and we seem to have a bit of a mix-up in our split qualifying session here. We only have 20 minutes left on our qualifying session here, where normally we would see 30-minute qualifying session with 10 minutes given to each of our drivers here. So a bit of an update. So instead of the AM drivers and silver drivers and pro drivers having their own different splits here, it's actually going to be AM drivers first, and then silver and pro drivers will have their own merged qualifying for the last 10 minutes here. So looking at that radar so far, the rate is indeed increasing, and we now actually saw Vex able to finally get that provisional pole position as we had expected, but with the rain increasing and lap times potentially slowing down here, I think I could potentially see Vex even getting a pretty high top 10, perhaps even a top 5 result here if the rain gets really heavy in the next few minutes.
Yeah, and especially given that Silvers are qualifying with pros, this is going to be a very big toss-up for the grid, and I think it's going to be a very interesting grid as qualifying ends later in 15 minutes time. But yeah, Vax having qualified with a time of 1:36.1, that's going to definitely be a hard time to beat for our silver drivers as well as some of our pro drivers. So that is definitely a driver that we have to look out for. Vax, being on our track record to be fast, but having issues finishing the race. Hopefully, they are starting to learn more and more as they come into the season. More track time means more consistency, and I hope that they are able to get some good results in this race.
I mean, they have had 2 back-to-back wins in the last 2 races, so I would say they have been doing pretty good so far. It was just only that first time where they had a bit of issue getting the cars finished.
Maybe that's definitely true, and it might be just me being a little bit skeptical, a bit not having a goldfish brain. So it is just me being me. But if since Vax has been doing really well, hopefully, maybe not just fight for the M champ, maybe even going for silver or the pros. That might be definitely a good points to fight for.
Yeah, I would think we're going to be seeing Vex especially get up into the silver category. If not in the middle of this season here, it's especially going to be at the end of the season here, where they're going to be easily promoted into the higher classifications here. But they don't seem to be in solid position of the pole position here, because we see Zesor's already on a 5/10 improvement on their lap around here on this track. They seem to actually gone a bit too wide into the exit of McLean's here. That cost them a little bit of time here, but going around, they're still on a fairly good improvement on the lap time so far. So with a couple more minutes left to go here, we could potentially see Zesor's able to secure that pole position away from Vex in the AM classification here. So it seems like at least this time around, Vex is going to be having some company up at the top 15 area.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to watch, as Zizor actually clawing back their time that they lost. So it kind of shows that Zizor might even have more time to gain if they're able to nail their sector 1 right and maintain their good run in the last sector. They might even be a second or 2 ahead on what they're supposed to be right now if they get to chain everything right. It's definitely going to be very interesting to watch as they come down into T12. Coming down into the final straight, crossing the line with a 1:35.8. The first driver to pass the sub 36 mark. And definitely, I think Vex will definitely want to go out again just to see if they are able to answer that. And Zizor might try to get another run just so they could extract every last second out of the car that they have.
It is looking like Vex did indeed try to improve on their last time already, but they had to back out of that because they had an off-track moment, I do believe, at one point. So this is going to be probably their last chance to get a lap around on the track. The lap time is going to be 1:36, so I think after this, Vex will have 1 more shot to improve on their time. But we're already seeing in our standings, Zizos is already on another improvement of 2, 3, 4, 5 tenths on their lap time so far here. So it's looking very much like something in favor of Zetos here, unless Vex can just pull something incredible out of their car on this lap around this track. We're going to be watching them with great interest going through the turn 3, 4, 5 second here now towards Stargate Bridge and towards Sector 2 here. They are currently matching their time so, but it seems like it's all in that exit of McLean's here and towards Copies and the SS, where Zezor was able to find all of that time. So we're going to be seeing how Vex is going to be able to extract their car around a pretty good exit here of McLean's and out towards Copies. And slight improvement so far, but not going to be enough to beat Zezo, who's again still on a mega lap so far. I have to come back to them here because now going to be on the final corner here, already 4 tenths up on their previous personal best on this track here. Now going through that tight turn 12 corner here with a good exit so far, losing a bit of time on that exit, but there's going to be another 3/10 improvement into a 35.5. So it's going to be even actually that's going to be something we'll kind of have to watch closer, because now Vex is indeed answering them with another 5/10 improvement on their lap time as well. So it's going to be all down to these final few corners here into turn 11 and into turn 12 to see if Vex is going to be able to get the absolute best extract out of their car here. It's going to be now all down into turn 12 to see if they can just balance that car just right, minimizing that wheel spin, getting that exit as straight as possible, not drifting out too much. Oh, it's going to be a compromised exit. It's not going to be enough. Vex is going to be crossing the finish line. It's going to be an improvement, but it's not going to be enough. They're going to be still in P2, but they still have 1 more shot on this track to hopefully improve on their time.
Yeah, definitely a lot of time they could get. As you can see, already a 10th that they could extract from turn 1 in and of itself. So as you can see, it is very tricky conditions to extract as much time as you can in the cars that we have. But given that they are in the very also stable Ferrari 296, I think if with enough confidence, as you can see, Vex not taking every last inch of the corner just in case they might go out wide there. We might see them actually improving a little bit more than that we see right now. But will it be enough? Right now, the gap between P1 and P2, 16 tenths. Is that how you pronounce it? I'm a bit tired right now, but small gap between Zizor as well, between Zizor and Vax. So it's gonna be very interesting to see as they come into the S's.
We're gonna have to watch them very closely. It seems like Vex lost all of that time into the final turn 11 and turn 12 sections here, but they actually had a very compromised exit into turn 12 into the SS section as well. So it seems like they also had to back out from the lap time of Reese ahead of them. So it unfortunately looks like Vex is not able to improve. They're already a second down on their delta time. So unfortunately, that is going to be it for Vex, and that's going to be indeed confirmed. Zezor is able to claim the provisional pole position in the AM class, with the Vex giving a bit of an unhappy flattening here to Reese, who actually seems to have distorted the lap here. We see Reese now also crossing the finish line, improving and almost a second in their previous lap time, able to get into P7 here, but we're seeing quite a massive gulf between P1 and P2 in the AM classification here, with both of them within the 135s, and then the third car in AM class all the way down, almost 2 seconds off in a 37.4.
Yeah, it really shows that basically Zizor and Vex are definitely on a class on their own. So definitely gonna, I got a feeling they're definitely gonna be promoted next time around if they're able to convert their qualifying results into race results. And I must say, a very impressive results by both Zizor as well as Vex, both securing times that are basically unfounded inside the M class.
Absolutely, indeed. And now it's going to be time for our Pro and Silver drivers to have their own run on this Donington Park track here. And I do believe rain has picked up. The rain has picked up a little bit, so the times may not be quite as fast as in the very beginning of the classifications. Classes own split here in qualifying. But with our Pro drivers, Azure Goat, Grim Lilith, Plasma, all very adept at extracting the best out of their cars in all conditions, we're probably going to be seeing them still try their absolute best here with PC Plasma already going quite deep into the chicane section, into the SS here to get an absolute best possible exit here. They're going to be seeing how they are going to be going around through turn 11 and turn 12 with a very good line here already, minimizing that wheel spin now going towards turn 12 here. Again, hoping to just get that absolutely best possible exit, not drifting too wide in here. Going to be tipping the car in, balancing that throttle, getting that good exit just right to get across the finish line. That's going to be a pretty decent time looking so far. It's going to be indeed a new pole position by over 7/10 of a second into a 34.7 by Plasma.
Of course, Plasma out here showing the rest of the grid how it's done. The first driver to get into the 34s and also immediately answered by Azure, setting a 134.7. Newt crosses the line as well as a 135.4. So right now only 2 drivers now in the 34s, and the rest of the grid slowly crossing the line, coming in at 35s.
Yeah, it is indeed, but as we see more of our competitors getting across the finish line here, we're seeing Zezos and Vex still holding on a very competitive top 10 results, with our silver drivers, Lunatic and Blade Wolf, only hitting a 36.1 and a 36.7 respectively here. So it's looking very much like, with the advantage of the reduced rain cover in the earlier parts of the qualifying session here, Vex and Zizos are going to hold themselves on a very strong position in the qualifying. That's going to be extending their championship lead even more in the AM Championship.
Yeah, and it's gonna be a very big gap, as you can see. Actually, right now from P7 to P15, how many positions is that? 7. Actually, more than 7 positions. So it's definitely a very big gap between the rest of the M class.
Yes, indeed, but we're also seeing a very tiny spread between our top 3 here, with our lead driver Azure getting themselves a 34.750, with Plasma and Grim Lilith only less than a 10th off the top time here. So it seems like all of the drivers are just going to be extracting the absolute best out of their cars. But I do have to correct you, because Plasma was finally able to get that lap time they were looking for. They're now sitting at a pretty solid lead here so far, with a 34.387 here. So looking very much like Plasma again, king of all conditions, king of all cars, able to just get the best out of their cars as possible. And it could maybe not as close of a, or not as far of a difference with how mixed these conditions are and how fast Azure and Grimlith also seem to be with their cars.
Well, you could say that, but given how we see Plasma maybe deeping into the grass once in a while, they definitely can do that in qualifying. They definitely cannot do that in the race unless they want to lose all their tire pressures. As you know, in the wets, your tires need to be between 29.5 to 31 psi, as you see Plasma almost losing it at the chicanes. But as you can see, it's really tricky conditions as much as Plasma can be quick here. As you can see, even in this lap alone, already 6 to 7 tenths behind on their previous lap. So given how big of a spread Plasma's times are, it might be that Plasma is able to get to have the raw speed, but are they able to keep the car on track given how lively the Audi is? I think that's going to be something that we'll have to look for in the race. As you can see, Simon Luck already the first driver to go sub 34s with a 133.775, the Aston Martin, doing Simon really well in these kind of tricky conditions.
Yeah, this is exactly what we were talking about in the pre-practice session with Simon Luck seeming to excel massively in these very tricky mixed conditions here with their Aston Martin V8 car here, with the very sweet roll themed livery on their car here. So it's looking quite promising here so far, with Simon Luck able to beat Plasma by 0.6 of a second, with Azure Code only getting within the 34 once here. Nobody else has been able to get into the 33s so far here. So despite the fact that it seems to be picking up on the rate in the radar here, Simon Luck doesn't care. He's just going to extract everything out of that Aston Martin. He's going to just dance that Aston Martin around every single corner, and they're just currently just out there dominating the competition.
Yeah, given how Simon is able to wrangle the Aston going sideways through turn 8 just now, I think it's that car is just dancing everywhere. And you know, to Simon, it's just a normal day in the way he drives. So it's gonna be very interesting to see how they fare, and maybe a new driver, a new winner this time around, possibly.
Yeah, we'll have to see that very closely, because we are actually seeing quite some massive improvements from Azure Code and Plasma as well, as we are seeing Plasma ahead of Azure Code here into the final hairpin. We're going to be seeing them, Plasma really sending it hard into the S's here now towards turn 11 and turn 12 here. So we're going to have to watch if they're going to be able to get that tiny few meters of extra pace here in these final couple corners here, with Plasma gaining the 5/10 improvement. It's not going to be quite enough to beat Simon Luck for the pole position so far. So we're going to have to watch if they're going to be able to just get that tiny bit more pace out of their car.
Oh my god.
It's going to be able to slide there. Oh, that's going to be compromised at the exit quite badly here. So it's going to be a bit of an improvement, but it's not going to be enough for Simon Luck be beating her, because we now actually have a brand new provisional pole sitter, Wushel, in their Porsche 169 car here. Very nice indeed from them. So it seems like the wet weather is really pretty well for the wet fish.
Yeah, the Shorty short in its elements right now, but also as well the Porsche showing that it can definitely stretch its own legs in wet conditions as it usually does, and you know, showing that we didn't really notice it in practice, but they definitely showed what they really are capable of in these sort of conditions. And you know, it'll be definitely a very interesting mix into the top 5 battle right now. As you see, actually, not a lot of new faces in the top 5. We have Wushel, Simon Luck, Azure, that is usually fighting for the 3rd place on podium, basically on P2 right now, and actually have Vossi coming in on P4. A lot of new faces here, and I think it's going to be a very, very, very interesting race that we have in store for us tonight.
Absolutely, indeed. It seems like the Porsches are having a bit of an advantage in these mixed, tricky conditions here. We also remember in the Silver Championship all the way back in the start of the year, where the Porsches just excelled in the wet tracks, as we see Vossi sending a bit too hard into the exit of the old hairpin here and to interrupt their lap here. But we're going to be seeing, especially with Wushel, just has been able to extract a lot more out of that Porsche. It seems like the Porsche just does not care about the wet weather as much, or they are not quite as affected by the wet weather as much as the McLarens or the Ferraris or the other cars. It's actually going to be quite interesting to see. Grim Lilith are normally front runner in the qualifyings, all the way down in P7 so far, and still not on an improvement, as they're going to be probably running out of time. You're not going to be able to get any more time out of that car here. So it seems like our normal front runners, pole position leaders here, are just very far off the pace here in these tricky wet conditions.
Yeah, I think it also comes down to the way that some certain drivers drive. we all like to say that some drivers drive their cars with the rear wheels, and for some, especially in the Porsche, that is going to be very advantageous here tonight. As you know, you don't really get much front grip in these sort of conditions, so it really is comes down to how the drivers drive, as well as what machines they have under them. As we see drivers, coming in for their final laps, as you see some drivers as well crossing the line with Grimiliv, Blade, as well as Joker already saying the times for the qualifying, but Wushel right now coming to the S's. 300s, 400s of an improvement, a little bit small improvement from what they already have. Azure already pitting in, so that's qualifying done for them. Simon Luck, not much improvements, but the next driver to get some improvements is Plasma. Right now, already close to 2/10 of an improvement, but with 2/10 improvement, they might actually get into P2 because the gap between P2 to P6 is actually not that much, is it?
We're going to have to see how they're going to be able to get their car around this final corner here with a couple more. Actually, they're going to be, with a very substantial improvement into the exit of turn 12 here, able to get themselves all the way up into P2, but that's not going to be enough to get pole position, which is now going to be officially to Wushel in the car 169 Porsche of the short team here. So congratulations to our... I do believe this is the first time Wushel has been able to secure an overall pole position in Simufur, so a very big congratulations to her. This was absolutely the best they could hope for from this qualifying session.
Yeah, definitely a very impressive qualifying session with such a wet weather as well. Now it's time for the drivers to dread the whole entire 1 hour drive, possibly in the wet, possibly flooded, and we'll have to see how insane the weather will be in the race in a few minutes' time.
Absolutely indeed, and we're actually already seeing in our chat, big congratulations to Wushel for being able to secure that pole position. So if Wushel is able to get this kind of pace, we also saw Plasma only able to just barely squeak into the 33s here in the very dire minutes of the lap by just extracting everything out of that car. So it seems like Wushel is just much more in control, much more comfortable with that Porsche 922 for the... So perhaps we could see them getting quite a good run into the opening laps of this hour-long race as well here. What do you think?
It could happen, but the Porsche has a reputation for waking up a little bit later than usual. So as much as Wushel might have the advantage being in P1, they might have to fend off Plasma pretty hard for the first couple of laps until the tires start to heat up, and that's when Wushel will be able to spread their wings. But if they are unable to, then they will be a little bit too little, too late. And given how close the grid is from P2 all the way to P7, that might be a very significant drop if they're unable to hold off Plasma as much as they would like to.
Yeah, we will have to see. We have normally seen Plasma being able to just secure, like, even if they have not been able to get the absolute best time in the qualifying, usually, like, within the first couple turns of lap 1 in the race, they're going to be able to just get past the front runner of the grid here and get into the lead here. So we're going to be very interesting to see if Wushel is able to hold off the advance from the Audi R8 into turn 1 here. It's going to be not that fast of a corner. It's a medium speed turn 1 here with a kind of a late exit here. So if Wushel is able to just get their car just planted right in front of the Audi's charger, we could perhaps see them holding on to the lead here in the start of the race. We're going to have to watch them very, very soon here, because now going to be all of our drivers are now on the grid here. So now going to be having a run through of all of our competitors now getting ready for the race.
Yeah, it's going to be a very wet track walk, and starting off, we have the wonderful Wushel, car number 196 in our first Porsche. Glad to see them right here. Actually, is it raining right now? I could see it a little bit dry. Yes, it is. Never mind. Plasma right now 116 in the Audi. Pretty strong drive here. We'll have to see how well they are able to hold it off in this 1 hour long race. Azure in the McLaren. Pretty solid drive for Azure. We'll have to see how everyone drives here. The first Aston Martin, Simon Luck. It was our favorites coming into this practice, but as you can see, a lot of other drivers have shown that they are able to keep up with Simon in qualifying, but will they be able to keep up in the race? Grim Lilith, our Ferrari driver here, in 5th place. Pretty strong drive for the controller driver. We'll have to see how they hold up. Vossi, our first silver driver in the next Porsche, car 15. Pretty strong drive from them. Hopefully, they're able to hold it off from Lunatic. That's actually in P10. CAF, right now, our previous winner, in P7 right now. We'll have to see how they react and how they were able to climb the ranks today. Joker next to him in the McLaren. First time, pretty solid drive from them this time around, but will they able to stay out of trouble to keep them in a position? Tie in the next BMW in P9. Second BMW on the grid, pretty good. And our last driver that we're going to talk about in P10, Lunatic, our silver driver in the McLaren, our provisional P1 in the silver champ. So hopefully we are able to see them do really well here, but will be able to fight with Fossey Blade, our third silver driver here in P11, just barely off the top 10. Pretty solid drive from them. Taichi, it's been a while since I've seen them. P12 in the Bentley, our first Bentley in the grid. It's gonna be very big. It's gonna be very hard to take the car. So I hope the drivers behind are able to do it as efficiently as they could. Spirit in the Lamborghini P13 in the car 2621. Pretty good drive from them. Newt, our Southeast Asian driver in the AMG. It's a pretty strong car, but will be able to keep it off the grass here since it's a very understeery car. Anka, the next Porsche driver in P15, all carbon black. Good to see them here tonight. Zizor, our first M driver on the grid, P16 in the Lamborghini. They've been doing really well. Will they be able to hold off Vax? I think time will tell. Vax, our second M driver here in P17, was been doing pretty strong here. So if they are able to keep it clean, they might be able to fight with Zizor and maybe get their win here tonight. RS in P18 in the BMW, they'd be struggling a little bit, but if they're able to keep it clean, maybe they could get some points here tonight. Underscore in the Car 808 Aston Martin. Pretty far down from where they are used to, so hopefully they're able to crawl back up to where they are supposed to be. Blisskit in the next BMW. Our pretty good silver driver here. Small Jack in P21 in the McLaren. Next up, Enter Midnight P22 in the BMW 170. Pre-delivery from them tonight. And the grid is already going on their formation lap, so this is going to be the end of the grid walk tonight.
It's going to be quite a mixed grid here so far, with Bushel able to secure a pole position. Very well done from her indeed. But it's going to be very interesting to see if they are going to be able to hold on to that pole position as they're going to be getting ready for a lap 1 around this track here. Now, with all of our cars getting ready for some warming up of their wet tires. So, looking at the radar so far, rain is going to be increasing in the next 30 minutes. So, it's not going to be a dry race for sure. And it's already looking quite wet out there. So, we could see not quite flooded conditions here, but it's definitely going to be very tricky conditions trying to get their cars into their absolute best window in these mixed wet track here, and everybody just trying to dance their car around those exit curbs here. I think we saw quite a few more incidents into the exit of turn 7 here with a very sleepy astroturf just outside the curbing here. So we're going to be seeing our drivers going right around here. You can see that green bit of the astroturf here. If you dip your wheel there, that's going to be easily spinning out your car here. So our drivers will have to be very careful in that section for sure.
Yeah, I think in previous races we have seen a lot of drivers getting caught off guard, especially in the first lap when your tires are not at their most optimum and when drivers are scrapping for positions and when they are unable to see where they are going in the midst of traffic. They might make a mistake or two, maybe run a bit too wide, or unfortunately maybe dip too much into the grass and cause themselves a spin. Hopefully that's not going to be happening, but that is something that is definitely need to work. That drivers need to look out for tonight. As you can see, wipers working really hard. I think they'll be on minimal effort to wipe off all the water that they're gonna get splashed onto, but they'll definitely have to at least get some of it cleared as they have traffic right in front of them with how much spray they're gonna get.
Yes, the middle of the pack is going to be very, very much blinded by the spray of the cars in the front. Yes, we're going to be seeing our cars now going 2 by 2 for the last couple of corners here. A very short lap in Donington Park here, only at 1:30 in the 1:30s lap time here. So it's going to be a very, very fast first lap here. So we're going to be seeing if Wushu is going to be able to hold on to their lead here into the first lap of this race here. So we see Wushu already just weaving even more. Actually, they were on the wrong side of the track here, starting from the left, but now actually moving over to the right here. They're going to be on the inside line into turn 1. So they're hopefully going to be able to hold off that advance from Plasma to their left here. So we're going to be watching them very, very closely now. Them all just going side by side, holding that throttle at 70 kilometers an hour here. Waiting for the lights. Patiently waiting. Finding that right moment to just unleash their power And it's green, green, green. Wushu just launching off the line here with Plasma coming up right alongside. They're going to be side by side into turn one, but Plasma seems to be able to get that run. Again, just as we had predicted, Plasma just swinging around wide on the outside of turn one here, able to secure the lead of the race as well. But we see also Azure God and Grimlith in the background, also having a big charge, able to secure, get past the sidewalk here into the section now towards the old hairpin section. But they're going to be Wushu now chasing down. It's going to be a bit of a bish bash push between Azure and Wushu now going side by side towards turn 5 here. It's going to be actually Wushu is spinning. She's being contacted. She's going to be spinning all the way to the back of the field here. It's going to be catastrophe for the short driver here, but she seems to be able to get away nice and clean here from that incident without too much time. There's going to be a disaster because now going to be Azure God now finally fending off the charge from Grimlevel on the background as well here. We see a couple of yellow flags as well from another car who has perhaps the button here, but it's going to be now Azure holding off that charge from Grimlevel on the 296 in the background. That could be Plasma saying thank you very much. They're just going to be able to get away into the front here saying thank you again, just thank you very much for that incident. Not going to be able to just get away from the front. We're going to be seeing everybody else just scrubbing for position while Plasma can just run away.
Yeah, it's definitely unfortunate for Wushu here carrying a little bit of contact, but luckily they're able to hold it clean now. It's just going to be a very big recovery drive from them. Actually, the yellow flag that you have was actually Zizor right now, our AM driver that was supposed to be first in class is now on the very back of the field. Unfortunately, I think there's gonna had to be some contact between the grid as it was a very narrow track, but we have to see them hopefully stay strong and hopefully get a very good recovery drive as the grid slowly comes going on their second lap for tonight. I think starting to settle down a little bit as Simon Luck right now currently slowly behind Grimlev. Hopefully they're going to be able to catch up, but they're now hounded by Cafe right behind them. 6/10 is the gap, so hopefully they're able to do it really well Azure right now. Side by side with RS, I think RS will think better of it and just let them by, focus on their own race, and hopefully get good results as the cars in front start to scrap about forward positions.
Yes, we're already seeing Wushu just desperately climbing back up the field here after that early lap incident here, hoping to get back into the top 10 fight here. But we're going to have to return to them later because there's still so much more fighting happening in the middle of the pack here. We see Taichi Yagami also on the charge on the back of that Aston Martin V8, driven by Blade Wolf Kage here now going towards the exit of turn 8 here. We're having a bit of a look on the inside into turn 8, but almost contact between the two cars here going on to the exit of turn 8 here. It's going to be now Taichi just getting the better exit, not going to be right on the ass of that Aston Martin going into the chicane section here. It's going to be Taichi coming up on the inside line. You're going to be hoping diving late on those brakes here, just giving. It's going to be almost contact again between the two cars. Actually, going to be compromised the line for Lakewood. Now giving Spirit the opportunity also dice up right alongside. That's going to be also Newt and Anka right behind them, all just vying for that position. It's going to be actually contact between Newt. It's going to be hitting the back of Spirit here, sending them wide in the car. It's going to be causing contact between Taichi and Bladewood, so it's going to be losing even more position. An unfortunate mistake from Newt, sending even more cars flying into the side here, and that's going to be seeing 3, 4, 5, 6 different cars now all into the fight here. It's going to be again a bit of contact between Newt and Anka going up into the exit of turn 12, and now going to be Newt spinning off into the crash here, losing even more position. A disaster for the AMG driver here, so far ahead of the grid here, but now just falling all the way down into P20.
There is so many incidents here. I think Newt is just not used to driving in the wets and unfortunately just missing all the braking points because there's just so much spray and just so much going on that they're basically just in the blind. And unfortunately with this kind of conditions, you cannot be in the blind. Like unfortunately causing 2 major incidents and, you know, basically having themselves a little bit too much damage, I can see, as they slide across into turn 4. And yeah, definitely not the race to be in right now. And definitely Blade will not be happy with the way that Taichi has done the overtake. Definitely compromised their race, but they have to keep their head down, make sure that they keep it clean. There is still 56 minutes remaining into this race, so all is still in for the race as we see Azure right now, right on the back of Plasma. As we see Plasma make a wrong move, I think Azure had to lift slightly as they come into the next corner. Maybe Azure might do a little bit of late braking just to go on the outside. Maybe not. Maybe a big switchback. Who knows? Plasma now parking it as much as possible just so that Azure could just stay behind him as long as he could.
Yeah, we're seeing Azure able to catch up into the back of Plasma into this into the next couple of laps here. But now with Plasma just really good at hogging up on the inside line here, it's actually going to be slowing down everybody else at the back as well here. We see now Grim, Simon, Kathy, Joker, Vossi, Tyne all in the fight here potentially towards P1 here, with Azure just trying desperate to find any spot around Plasma to get that overtake done, while also fending off that charge from Grim right behind them as well here. So it's going to be all down to if Plasma can just get away from this pack. That's just because the last thing he wants is being caught up in this fight here, because the more they fight here, the more it's going to be an opportunity for Kathy, for Simon, for Joker right behind them to also perhaps get past them, capitalize on any mistakes that are going to be happening. We're actually going to be seeing Grimblith again just on the back of that McLaren here, just hoping to find another spot around this track here, but it's still going to be so hard. You can see this spray here is just insane. It's going to be hard for our cars to be able to find the right spot around the track. It's going to be sitting again, almost brushing the back of that McLaren 570S here, now going towards the exit of turn E, now towards Starkey Straight here. Not going to be quite close enough to make any moves on this SS section here, but we can see Grimblith is just absolutely desperate to find any kind of spot around the track to get past Azure, because it seems like Azure is going to be the cork in the bottle here, holding off the advance from Grimblith behind them.
Yeah, and I think Plasma actually will like to have the rest of the grid fight as well, because the more fighting they have, the more Plasma could just stretch his wings, because Plasma knows that when Azure is not fighting, they're able to catch up to him. But when Plasma is able to push Azure back into Grimblith, Azure will definitely be doing the defensive move, and unfortunately that will slow down the two of them and let Plasma be in, stretch his legs in the lead. But I think both of them will need to slowly realize that maybe they should really start thinking about working together, whereas they should really stop fighting for each position, maybe give themselves a little bit of bump draft just so that they could get Plasma off the podium. That way, they could have more points for them and, maybe disrupt the standings in the overall season.
Yes, we are seeing a bit of a gap forming between the top 3 and the rest of the grid here, with about a second gap between Grimblith and Simon Luck down in P4 here. But looking at Simon Luck here, they seem to have been able to secure themselves a pretty decent solid P4 here so far. Grimblith was able to pounce them into the start of the race here, and they did lose a position here, but with Wushu now all the way down, if I am correct, going to be down in P30 here, still making a recovery drive up to the front of the field here. They're going to be giving themselves a good thing here, be able to get that P4 here so far, but we're going to have to look back into Wushu here, down here in P13 here, because Wushu is still having a charge into Blade Wolf now, hoping to get past them as well. Blade Wolf was caught up in that incident with Taichi Agami, who is now able to get past them. Actually, I'm going to be seeing also another overtake happening between Newt and Emin underscore down in P16 and P17 here. I think we just missed it. We're going to have to see them in the replay to see what exactly happens here. We're going to have a bit of quick refresh here with, again, our timing sheets giving us some tricks here, not able to see them properly, but can't be seen. Actually, oh yeah, it was Emin underscore in that exit of turn 7 here, getting a wheel on the AstroTurf, losing the rear, compromised their exit quite badly enough for Newt to just slide past them. So this was exactly the thing I was talking about here. You need to be really careful on that exit, or it's going to be giving the opportunity for the car behind to just slide past you.
Yeah, I think the mistakes, especially in turn 7, would show it. It's really really unforgiving, as the AstroTurf really slippery, and a little bit the tires on that will really disrupt your lap times, and it's gonna be very big of a compromise for underscore, and hopefully they're able to recover, but it seems like Newt's gonna have the position secured. As you see the front of the grid slowly, taking a lot of curb there by Azure. Gotta be careful taking too much curbs, or else you'll run out of tire pressures, and you do not want to have under pressured wet tires here, do you now?
Yeah, we saw Grimblith already getting really close to... Actually, I think they gave a bit of a love tap on the rear of that Luna Enthusiast in the McLaren 720S here into the exit of turn 1. We're actually going to be seeing a first lap car of the track. It's going to be Classic Fennekin just really slowing down Plasma into the exit of turn 7 here. Now Green also slowing down Azure, and giving Grimblith the opportunity to get up right up alongside into the chicane section, but it seems like Grimblith just backed at the last second here, thinking better of trying to make a dive on the outside into the SS here. Again, Grimblith just frustrated, not able to find the spot he wants here, but it seems like with a poor exit coming up into turn 11, that's giving Grimblith the opportunity to have another peek into turn 11, but it's again not enough. Again, almost hitting the rear of the McLaren ahead. Now again, slowing everybody down here, now giving Simon Luck behind them an opportunity to again catch up. Also holding a charge from Kathy and Joker right behind them as well. With everybody just vying for that top spot of the podium here, it's going to be just absolute carnage here, with even more lap cars probably potentially slowing them down on this fairly narrow track here.
Yeah, we actually haven't talked about it as well. Vossi is actually also right at the back of Joker as well. All trying to survive. Vossi might not be thinking about overtaking, but they definitely want to get as much gap between them as well as Lunatic right now in P9 as well. All trying to fight for positions, not just for the overall championship, but as well as for the class championship, as you can see here. So it's definitely going to be very interesting. Vossi's going to be hoping that no one's going to be here affecting them. But as you can see, Wushu right now on the side of... Actually, no, that's not Wushu. That's Wolfin right on the side of 1V, going side by side here. Trying to get pass for P24, but it seems like that's not gonna be happening anytime
I do have
soon
to
right
think that was
now.
actually Wolfen and Zesors currently in their own fight towards
Oh,
P25 in the race here. I do believe Zesors was able to make a lunge into the inside of turn 11 here. Zesors was also one of the cars who was collected in an early lap one incident, now all the way down at the back of the field. It seems like Zesor was able to navigate around the Ferrari 296 of Wolfen Fox, and now also on their own recovery drive. Now heading on a charge for a 1v, you can see in the horizon just about 4 seconds off. It's going to be probably, looking at the lap time so far, Zesors has been flying that car so far, so it's going to be probably not too hard for Zesors to catch up into the Porsche 922 of 1v ahead and get into that fight here. But we're going to have to return to them later, because we're also seeing a bit of fighting happening between Oraz Volpes and Emin Underscore. We also see, I think it was Newt who was able to just get around the BMW N4 of Oraz here, but we see MNU also getting close into the bumper of that BMW N4 here, hoping to perhaps also have another overtake into the car here and get back up to the top 10 fight.
yeah, it's definitely going to be very interesting to see how Underscore fights with Oraz here. The Aston Martin very stable in these conditions, but the BMW equally as well. Both front engine cars, they are pretty stable, but it all comes down to the driver and how familiar they are in these sort of conditions. And it seems like Underscore this time around performing a little bit less than ideal for where they usually are, but Oraz, being the seasoned driver here, might be able to just hold Underscore right behind them in these sort of conditions.
Yeah, it seems like the gap is starting to spread around between these three competitors so far here. With also, we're still seeing at the front, Azurcoat is still so close to the rear bumper of Plasma Raider here so far, with Grimlev again falling a bit behind now. So it seems to be getting more into a two-horse race between Plasma and Azure now as they go now into the SS section here, both just hoping to get that absolute best possible exit and leave Grim Lilith into the horizon here. But it looks like Plasma is seeming to be another cork in the bottle here. We have seen, like, again, with Plasma able to get those early lap lunges, it's going to be actually Plasma getting a compromised exit into turn 11 here, giving Asher a bit of a run-up on the inside into turn 11, but it's going to be not enough because Plasma is going to be unleashing the power of that Audi R8 and staying ahead into the front. It's going to actually, again, losing a bit of a time here into the exit of turn 12 here, giving Asher yet again another opportunity to get up on the inside into turn 12 here. But again, it's not quite enough because it's going to be that straight line speed of the Audi R8 helping them stay in the lead here, with the Asher again getting really close to making that overtake, but it's just a few inches too short of making that move to stick.
Yeah, but also you gotta remember as well, when you are off the racing line, you kind of get you don't get as much grip as well, given that so much water there. So I think Azure is also having issues trying to clear the water on track as much as they could when they are trying to fight side by side, and that has definitely allowed Plasma to stay ahead, as we see right now. Caffey right on the back of Simon Luck, trying almost making a big lunge here, as Newt as well. Actually, has they overtaken Oraz on this one? What has happened there?
I do believe there was a bit of a yellow flag incident that happened at some point. We're going to have to look at them into I think it was in turn 1 here. We see Newt was able to get past Oraz Volpes into the exit of turn 11, turn 12, I do believe. But I think into turn 12, we see them getting really close to dipping a wheel into the grass here. But now going into turn 1, I do believe something may have happened here because they have a yellow flag. Indeed, they went a bit wide onto the grass in turn 1 here, having a bit of an off-track moment, but still able to hold on strong here. But hold on from Newt, able to keep their car in one piece. But they're going to have to maybe scale it back a little bit if they want to be able to finish this race.
Yeah, definitely. I think we have chat saying that shame we can't see the times between the cars, but actually we are able to. Actually, if you are able to cycle between the MFD as you usually do when you're racing, you are able to see the gap if you want to do that, Denak. But so far right now, pretty interesting fight between the rest of the grid right now. So it's all comes down to Newt right now. Having some sort of issue with the fact that they are unable to keep it on track, maybe a little bit too new to these wet weather conditions. So hopefully, they keep it clean. With a little bit of front damage from the two bumps that we see earlier this race, I think it's going to be a very tall ask for them to keep it a little bit more clean. Maybe, having their damage repaired during the pit stop, but I guess time will tell.
Time will tell indeed, because we're going to be seeing Wushel already almost up into the top 10 fight already now, with Wushel now at the back of the Spirit here. And Wushel indeed is currently holding the best time of the track so far at a 31.9. So despite the fact that rain is starting to picking up a little bit on the radar here, I think it's with the track, with the fact that all of these cars are not just running around, making a bit of a dry line on the track here, that's giving the opportunity for for Wusu to get a bit of a run. As we're kind of seeing another yellow flag on the radar. It's going to be Small
Oh,
Jack, who
no.
seems to have had an incident here. So we're going to have to check up on our replay to see if we may have spotted what actually happened with us. We're going to be seeing them going up into the entry of turn 1 here. Just a bit too fast on the entry of turn 1 here, losing the rear end. Unfortunately, they were able to stay clear of any other cars and not collect anybody else in the incident, but that's not going to be what they want on their first debut race, if I'm correct.
Yeah, but you know, a little bit of too much power on the exit, but luckily not too big of an incident. Able to recover it just nice. So I think it's all down to keeping their heads down, making sure they could keep it nice and clean for the remaining of the race as well. As right now, Wushel right at the back of Spirit, trying to get back as much positions as they can. A very good recovery drive from them right now in P11, but will it be enough for them to fight back all the way up to P1 as they should be? I think they will really want to do it as quick as possible, just so they could not have too much on their minds as they race tonight.
Yes, indeed, we're seeing Wushel again getting really close in the fact. So we're going to be seeing a bit of a fight happening between Taichi and Spirit. Actually, I do believe that was actually a lap car in the front that they were actually getting out of the way of. That's going to be giving the opportunity, because now it's going to be the Fenneking car slowing down Spirit right in front of Wushel. So that's going to be Wushel the opportunity to get right up into the bumper, going up into the... Oh, it's going to be a brave dive on the inside of turn 5 and turn 6. That's not going to be a place to overtake Wushel. You're going to be having a massive incident. So well done from her for able to avoid that incident, but quite a brave move, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, I think the overspeed kind of caught Wushel off guard, and they had to do some sort of evasive move, but unfortunately, it's unable to stick as they see drivers touch Joker touching Titan Fox on the overtake. I think Titan Fox will not be happy with that small tap coming into the S's, but Joker has made the move, overtaking him for P7.
Yes, indeed, but it seems like Titan Fox is still getting really close into the back of Joker here, hoping to maybe get that move back as well, but we're going to have to return to them later, because we still see Wushel getting now on the inside of Spirit into turn 11 here, with now them going side by side, with now Spirit on the inside into turn 12 here. Perhaps not going to be the opportunity that Wushel needs to or wants to maintain that position so far, because it's not going to be Spirit on the inside into turn 12, but perhaps Wushel hoping to have a bit of a cutback into turn 12, but it's not going to be possible. Spirit's going to be covering up the inside and denying the opportunity for Wushel to get that overtake to stick, but it's not going to be Wushel again using that, hopefully using that better exit speed into turn 1 here to again have another peek into the inside of turn 1, but it seems to be, oh, it's going to be both of the cars going sideways into the exit of turn 1 here, but Wushel was able to finally get that move to stick and get back in, get one position closer into the top 10 fight. It's actually going to be now Lunatic, their partner in crime in Germany, now having to hold off the charge from the Porsche driver.
Well, maybe there will be some sort of partner orders, not team orders this time around, but maybe partner orders to let them buy as soon as possible, just so that they could get this thing sorted out as soon as possible. But as you can see here, Wushel right now, the fastest lap of the race with a 1:31.9. They definitely want to have as much clean air as they could coming in back into the top 10. They definitely are able to with this pace that they are having right now, claw back into the top 10, but we'll see how far they are able to get to by the end of the race.
Yes, indeed, and at the front of the grid here, we still see Plasma and Azure holding on their position so far. With again, Azure trying to find those lines on the inside of turn 11 and turn 12 here, but not able to find that, with Plasma always covering up the inside and getting the better exit into the long straight, unleashing the power of that Audi R8. So it seems to be a race settling into their respective positions from P1 into P5 here, but with only a couple of minutes left before our pits window opens, we might see some of our drivers, perhaps Azure Code or Grimlith, opting to have an early pit stop here in these conditions, to have an undercut here, because in these conditions so far, the wet tires are not quite as fragile, I would say, as the slick tires here. So having an early pit stop, it's not going to be costing you as much in pace as you would in the dry weather tires here. So I would probably potentially see Azure opting for an undercut move here to perhaps get around Plasma that way.
Well, it also comes down to how careful the drivers have been. If you're a driver that has been dipping into the grass on and off, you definitely have some pressure issues in this track, but also the fact that you might want to pit in just so you could get some clear air, and that's going to be something that they definitely want to do, as we see Anchor right now on the back of Blade Wolf. Blade Wolf always been the king of defenders, so we'll have to see how hard it is for Anchor to dive right on the inside of Blade Wolf. Maybe it's possible. The Porsche is really strong in the wet weather conditions, but we'll have to see. But speaking back into the pit stops, it really comes down to how the drivers want it to be. If they feel like they are being held up by the drivers in front, they definitely want to pit early just so they could get clean air and push as hard as they could for the second stint.
Yes, indeed. And we're actually going to be still waiting to see. It's going to be 2-1. And pit one is now officially open, so we're going to have to see if anybody else is going to be getting into pit. Actually, we're going to be seeing another yellow flag happening. I think it was between Zesource and Small Jack again here. We just missed it, so we're going to have to check up quickly on our replay to see what exactly happened. So just give us a bit of a second for our replay software to catch up here again. So we're going to be seeing them. It's going to be another lap car. Class, if anything, diving out of the way from, I think there was Vex. Actually, going to be, it's going to be contact between Small Jack and Zesource. Small Jack again losing the rear into the exit of turn 1 and collecting Zesource in the process here. That's going to be massive damage for Zesource, but I think some fortune and misfortune that the pit one is right away open, so that's going to be giving the opportunity for Zesource to dive away into the pits right away, fix their damage, and hopefully minimize the time lost.
Yeah, Zesource definitely will not be happy with all the incidents that have been collected up during this race, but it is what it is. I don't think it was an intentional wreck. It is just a little bit unfortunate, as you see. I think that was Lunatic into the grass. I think that something has happened there, as well as Swingley taking advantage of it as Lunatic tries to recover for a drive. We have to go back and see. Maybe they've dove a bit too hard on the brakes, as they did, trying to overtake Taichi, and that is definitely a very big mistake that has happened by Lunatic. Maybe forgetting that they are in the dries, maybe they're in the wets, maybe taking the dry line, but that has definitely been a wrong move on their part.
Yes, indeed, but we're not going to be giving the opportunity for Wushu to get up into the rear of Taichi Yagami in a P9 here, so Wushu has been really flying with that Porsche to get the best possible result they can after that early race incident. It's going to be Wushu actually going on the grass with Taichi really squeezing their fellow pro competitor into the grass, so it's a bit of a dirty move from the Southeast Asian driver here, but alwa's fair in love and war, if I do say so myself here, but it seems like Wushu has not been deterred by that move here, so Wushu is still on the charge, ready to pounce past this cat here to get back up into P9.
Yeah, the Bentley is definitely a car that's definitely very hard to defend, as Taichi just dives into the pit right now. I'm not sure if they're trying to hold up Wushel as much as they could, but definitely a very early pit stop by Taichi right now, as they want to get... They actually had clear air, so it will be definitely very interesting to see why they have definitely pitted in these conditions. The wet tires actually do last more than a stint in the wet, so it's due to the fact that we have mandatory tire change in this session that we are required to change our tires. If not, the tires definitely do not need to get changed here. As you can see just now, the little graphics that showed up, 56 seconds is the pit stop that is the time that you take away from taking a pit stop here. So you definitely have to have at least a minute of a gap to the drivers behind, just so you could retain your position when you take a pit stop.
Yes, we're going to have to see how that's going to be happening, because at the front of the field here, it seems like Plasma has been able to extract get the tires into their proper window here, with Plasma now in a 1.1 second gap to Azure Code behind them. So also with their last lap time being a 31.9, with Azure only being able to get a 32.2, and Grim Lilith down in third only being able to get a 32.8. So it seems like Plasma's car is funny firing up, like coming alive here, so they're probably going to be opting to stay out on this track here. We're going to be seeing if perhaps Azure Goat or Grimlith will be getting out of the pits. Not quite yet here, so we're going to have to see if anybody's going to be able to challenge Plasma. They had a bit of a interesting race here at the start, but it seems like with their car now alive, we're able to get away from the charge from Azure Goat and Grimlith. They're going to be having another runaway into the front.
Maybe, but Plasma, as we jinxed it in Misano, is able to make errors when things are in their favor, so we'll have to see. Hopefully not Taichi going for a very big lunge in traffic for Wolfin's position in T20. Definitely very ambitious. I think Wolfin also decided to get out of the way for Taichi, given that it's not a position to be fighting for, given that it's a different class position. But also, I was going to say Taichi might have dropped off, but that's because they have made a very brief pit stop, an early pit stop, and Juan V right now on the back of Wolfin, possibly trying to get an overtake as well.
Yes, we're going to have to see if Wolfin will also dive out of the way of 1B at the back as well. I do believe 1B in qualifying was not able to set a lap time at all. They were not able to keep their car within track limits, so they have been just slowly climbing up the field so far. They started in P30, if I am correct here. So, actually, we're going to be seeing Wolfin now going wide into the exit of turn 12 here, losing a lot of time here, but that's going to be giving the opportunity for 1B to just easily slide past here, get up into P21, and keep driving here, hopefully hoping to catch up into the car of Cohen, who's only about 15 seconds ahead, I would say so. So if 1B is able to keep this kind of pace going here, we're actually seeing another yellow flag happening from Inter Midnight here again. Ooh, almost having contact between, I think that was the car Lamborghini of Rally there. Able to have a bit of a little bit moment there, but they were able to get around nice and easy here and get back into the run. But as I was saying before, between the cars of Juan V and Cohen, we see Cohen here currently getting only 38.8 average lap time here so far, with Juan V quite flying here with a 36.1. Actually, we gotta be seeing another yellow coming up from Taichi. What's happened there?
Oh no!
Oh no! Oh no!
Oh
Taichi,
no!
what are you doing? You're almost collecting several different cars here. We're going to see immediately on the replay what exactly happened to cause this quite unfortunate incident from our pro competitor here. We're going to be seeing them going up into the exit of turn 4 here, into the old hairpin. That's going to be going deep, going fast in here around turns 5 and turn 6 here. Is this going to be something happening in the exit of turn 7 if I am correct? Let's see. It's going to be a lap car. It's going to be, it's going to be Taichi extending a bit too fast into the exit of turn 7 here, getting right up into the middle of the track here, causing incidents between several different cars around it. So quite an unfortunate incident, but seems like it could have certainly gone worse there.
Definitely. Unfortunately, a small tap by Wolfin. I'm not sure if the incident's a bit too big, but that's definitely a very unfortunate incident from Taichi. A little bit too wide coming into the turn 7 on the exit, but that's just how unforgiving that corner is time and time again. As we see Arjun coming into the pits for the pit stop in this pit window. As we see as well, it's another driver behind them as well coming into the pits. That would be Small Jack in current.
Yeah, there's Small Jack 1E. That's Fennekin JPEG all opting to get into the pits at this moment here in the cars. Actually, going to be interesting to see Fennekin just going right through. I don't think they pit stopped at all if I have to look at my statistics so far here. Yeah, Fennekin was stopped for 46 seconds. They was only stopped for 40 seconds, so I'm not sure if they actually put on new tires here. So this could actually be just the thing that we were talking about here. It was actually Fennekin not getting the new wet tires on their car as they were mandated to by the rules here. If we're going to have a bit of a look at on their time here, yes, they still have a pit stop left to go here. So now they're going to be caught up in all of these other lap cars here. So unfortunate from the Bentley driver here, they did not do the pit stop probably as we had just talked about earlier in the race.
Yeah, that is definitely unfortunate, and I think that's what unfortunate about this game is that they don't really tell you when you don't have a tire change, and if you're not used to the pit window in this the pit window menu in this game, you are unfortunately going to get caught out for the fact that the game expects you to take more to continue on in these wet conditions for the wet tires for more than a stint, and that's definitely not ideal when you have a mandatory tire swap in these conditions. And I think if Classic Fennekin does not realize this enough, they might get penalties for not obeying the pit stop requirements this time around.
Yes, indeed. And speaking of some other cars, right, we now see Simon Luck now caught up into the back of Blisket, who has yet to take their pit stop so far in that BMW N4. Simon Luck has been one of the earlier cars to dive up into the pits here. They are still quite a ways off Azure Code looking at the gap so far. Yeah, they have fallen off quite massively in the pit stop here. So it looks like they were not able to get the pit stop quite as well as they would have. That seems to be the thing that is Simon's weakness here looking so far, because they have some pretty decent pace in qualifying and in the race sessions, but they don't seem to be able to get those pit stops just absolutely right. So they have always lost a bit of time here in pit entry, in the pit stop, and in the pit exit here. So it seems like that's why we're seeing Simon like quite a ways off Azure Code's time here so far.
Yeah, I think also it comes down to the alignment of your pit stops, because you gotta remember as well, when you don't align your car just right, it's gonna take some time for your pit crew to realign your car before they jack it up again, as well as the finicking between turning on your ignition, turning off your engine. These sort of things might catch a new driver out, and unfortunately that has definitely caught the drivers out, as we see Plasma coming out of the pits in P10, right? Still actually behind Azure. That is something very interesting. That is something that is my thing right, or am I seeing it wrong?
No, you are not incorrect. We have actually seen Azure Goat able to get the undercut done in the pits here, able to now inherit the lead of the racer with Plasma, not be able to get the pit stop they would have won here. If you have a bit of a quick look up on their pit stop so far, yes, indeed, we saw Azure Goat being able to get a total pit stop time of 54 seconds with Plasma all the way up in 59, almost a full minute pit stop here. They seem to have lost quite a lot of time stopping there, not quite able to get their car stopped into the right spot in their pit box, losing them time here now, unfortunately losing them the lead of the racer. We see Azure Gold leading the racer with C Plasma in the background there, hoping to maybe perhaps get back into the charge here and get past Azure Gold. But this is exactly the position Azure needs here. We still see Grimlith now also in the pit stop here right now. We're going to have to watch them very, very closely to see if they're going to be able to stay ahead of the competition here. With Grimlith currently in the pit stop, they're going to be, we see Blade Wolf and getting out of the pits here. We're going to have to see where is going to be Azure. Azure's going now up on the exit of turn. Actually, going to be in the entry of turn 12. We're going to be seeing Grimlith still stopped here, still waiting to go here. But we're going to be seeing, I can't quite tell you if they're going to be going. Yeah, it's going to be now Grimlith now heading out into the pit exit. But I don't think it's going to be quite enough. It's going to be Azure swinging on by, just squeaking ahead of Grimlith here. Now inheriting the overall lead of the race here with the provisional lead of the race as well, because we still have quite a few cars ahead of them, not having done their pit stop so far. But quite a good running for Azure Code so far, holding on to that lead here with quite a good pit stop.
But you also can notice as well, Grimlith also up ahead of Plasma as well. Plasma's pit stop definitely has affected their positions here, and I think if Plasma is unable to catch up to Grim, likely that Simon Luck might also have some words with Plasma to get their position as well for the front of the grid. As we see Taichi right now, right at the back of RS, diving in right inside of T1. RS may giving him the position on the second time around. Hopefully, maybe no more, but we'll have to see these two big cars, big GT cars coming into the sector 1s of T3 and coming into T4, all very heavy cars. So it's a miracle that they're able to hold it well, as they see slowly catching up to Blade Wolf in P13.
Yeah, we're going to have to see if Blade Wolf will be giving away to the advance of Taichi coming behind them as well. So it's going to be Taichi. Yes, indeed, it's looking like Blade Wolf is just trying to find the right spot on the track here to let the car behind them by. It's going to be Taichi almost brushing into the Aston Martin behind them. But is it actually going to be happening? It seems like Blade's not too eager to give up the position as well. It's going to be costing them a lot of time here, because that's going to be Aura's Bulbis right behind them as well, eager to get back up into the fight as well and get past Taichi and Blade Wolf. Indeed, it's correct. Blade Wolf is not really giving up the position, but actually, oh, it's going to be going side by side into the SS here again with a bit of an, oh, it's going to be Blade Wolf clipping their car into the gravel here, losing a lot of time on the exit. It's not going to be giving the opportunity for Auras to also get up on the outside of turn 11 here. It's going to be almost the two cars touching into turn 11, but seems like Blade Wolf was not eager to get that position go, but an unfortunate mistake into the SS here, tipping a wheel into the gravel, lost them that time.
Yeah, but I think also Blade might have compromised their run into it and maybe have caused Auras to be a little bit too close. I think if Blade definitely didn't want Taichi to dive on the inside, they definitely have to also take the compromise line just so that they could push Auras right to the back of Taichi. But they're causing right now causing Blade a little bit of time, but Taichi has gone past Auras, and Taichi is now on the drive right now in front, right behind Swingli, that almost lost it, but as we see, they have just lost it into sector 1, and that is going to be out of control. 51
of Small Track again, having a bit of a moment into the exit of turn 1 here, causing them to have a bit of an inside action. We're going to be seeing Blisket also spinning out into the, actually, is that Luna? Oh no, that's Luna. That was the race, that was the provisional race leader here so far, also in the crash here. We're going to have to see immediately in the read to see what exactly happened between these two cars here. We're going to be seeing them both going up into turn 11 here, still nice and clean so far. It's not going to be them going side by side into turn 12. We're gonna have to see the helicam view here now. It seems like Luna was holding all the lead here so far. It seems like Blisket just sent it way too deep, missed their braking point, collected the rear of Lunatics. That's an unfortunate incident from the silver class race reader here so far, but they have quite a long gap into their next competitor, Vossi, down in P11 here so far. So this could still hold on their lead here, but this is absolutely not the race not the result they would have wanted.
Yeah, and it's a good thing that Luna has not pitted, but that's definitely have put a lot of time into, their pit stop, especially if they needed to do some additional repairs. And unfortunately, I think that's going to cost them a few positions in the championship lead. And I think Voss is going to take advantage of that, getting past right now already in P10.
It looks like Luna has quite a lot of damage because they are still stopped with 35 seconds stop in the actual pit box here, so it looks like they had to fix a bit of damage here. Now giving Bossy the opportunity to rise up into the lead of the Silver Class Championship, but so far currently sitting in P10 overall, P1 in the Silver Class standings here, so well done from them to able to capitalize on an unfortunate incident from Luna. So that's sometimes just what happens in racing here. Sometimes you just need to be lucky, able to keep your nose clean from incidents here, and just take those opportunities as you see them. But we're going to have to return to them later, because we're going to be seeing also Wushu now getting up into the side of Tyne Fox, currently up in P7 and P8. Actually, we're going to be seeing a yellow flag happening at the front. It's going to be Joker. Joker seems to probably set it a bit too fast into the chicane here. Now also losing several positions. Now it's going to be Time Fox and Wushu both right behind them. Also eager to get up into the back of that McLaren 720S right there. So well, it's an interesting pattern happening between all the up and down left of the field. As we're going to be seeing now, Time Fox really going deep into turn 11 here, almost sliding into the grass here. Now just able to keep their car in front of Wushu's nose here, but Wushu's not going to be making that move to stick here because it's not going to be Wushu again getting really close into the back of that BMW SOC at the front. There's going to be some more lap cars giving way off the charge of Joker. So Joker is probably hoping to just get even more fighting happening between Time Fox and Wushu here now. Currently fighting in turn 1 and turn 2 here, and all this time lost is going to be giving more opportunity for Joker to hopefully maintain that, keep that P6 position, because Wushu has been flying on this track so far.
Yeah, and definitely the Porsche, as you can see, Wushu wrangling every last inch of it just to make sure it stays on track. Oh, as we see Joker having an incident with Cohen. That is unfortunate. I think both were a little bit ambitious trying to make an overtake right there. I think time and time again, not the best place to overtake, but Cohen just going a bit too slow and Joker just going a bit too fast, and unfortunately an unfortunate contact between the two of them, and unfortunately just lost a little bit of positions there.
That is quite an unfortunate incident for Joker. Now losing 1, 2, 3 positions behind Time Fox, Wushu, and Vossi now. Just hoping to maybe get a bit of a recovery drive happening between getting back up into the top 5 fight here. And yeah, we can see, like, even if you have a lap car ahead of you, even though they're supposed to give away to you, it's going to be up to both cars to make that move happen safely. And we saw here, if you have one car going a bit too eager into the exit of a turn here with the lap car going a bit too slow, that's going to be easy pickings for an inside. We're actually going to be seeing Joker now get into the back of Vossi here, hoping to get past that car and get back up into the fight here. We see Wushu again getting really close into the rear of that BMW M4 here. Unfortunately, going a bit too fast into the exit of turn 12 here, not quite able to get that move to stick here, and again being stuck behind that BMW M4 here. But with nobody else really in the horizon here, Wushu has quite a lot of time here to just find the right spot, get around Time Fox here, and just unleash the Porsche power to get back up into a very comfortable P6 here. So because we're seeing from Time Fox on into Cavi, it's an almost 15-second gap. So I do believe, like, until Wushu can get past this BMW M4 here, they seem to be probably settling into P6.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a possible position for Wushu to set in, but if they really want to catch up to the grid, they have to do it now. 22 minutes remaining to this race, and what time to get the overtake done then now if they really want to catch up, given that, especially the more further front you are in the grid, the less bigger, the smaller the delta between the drivers in their lap time, so it's going to be harder and harder as you try to climb up. As we see a big traffic right now as Plasma right now in the back of Grim Lilith, but there's definitely a lot of traffic right now, and they try to navigate through all of them.
Yeah, speaking of catching up, we have seen now Plasma and Grim Lilith able to catch up into the back of Azure Code here. Still sitting on the provisional lead here so far, with everybody else has now finally finished up with their pit cycles here, with now Azure holding on the proper lead of the race here so far. That's going to be all down to see if Azure can hold off that charge from these very fast, very aggressive pro drivers here from Grim Lilith and Plasma here. So we're going to have to watch them very, very close here. We're actually going to be seeing in our last pit stop so far, last lap time so far, excuse me, Azure able to get only a 35.1, losing a bit of time into lap traffic, with Grim Lilith getting a 33.6 and Plasma getting a 32.9. So it's at least looking so far, it seems like Azure is just losing a lot of time compared to Grim Lilith and Plasma. So it's going to be all down to if Azure can hold off that charge from the Ferrari 296 and the Audi R8 behind them to keep that lead of the race.
Yeah, I think Plasma is doing everything they could to catch up right now, and just, you know, making sure that they don't lose any sort of time, not taking any chances against the blue flags that they have, just making sure to get it done as soon as possible. And right now, the gap is definitely closing, and it's going to be a very interesting fight for the very end with 20 minutes remaining to this race.
Yes, indeed. We also saw in the background, we see Wushu finally able to get past Time Fox into P6 here so far. We're actually going to be seeing now Grimleaf getting really close into the rear of that McLaren 720S here into turn 11 here. But again, it's not going to be quite close enough to kind of move the stick here, but it seems like Azure Gold is going to be back in that same position as they were in the start of the race here, with Grimleaf now behind them, just hoping to find the first possible opportunity to overtake the runner. But it seems like Donington Park is not the easiest track to overtake it. It's going to be giving Azure a slight bit of advantage to hold on their position and hopefully stop the charge from Grimleaf and Plasma.
Yeah, and Wushel definitely just now getting held back by Titan, given that they're already starting to form a small gap between them. And you know, Wushel right now might want to drive as hard as they could just to catch up to Cafe in P5. It is possible with how much time we have remaining, as we see Azure, oh my god, going through traffic. Now Grim capitalizing on his side-by-side. Grim coming into P1. That is a move done by Plasma. By Azure, sorry, done to Azure, and now the traffic getting pushed aside, as Azure definitely will not be happy with what has happened and definitely going to be working really hard just to get the position back.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see that again in the replay, because that was some incredible driving from Grimleaf so far. With we see Azure here cutting up into the back of a lap traffic car here, going up through the turn 5 and turn 6 area here, losing quite a lot of time, having to lift off quite a bit. But Grimleaf just keeping their throttle pin, just swinging in between both of the cars here, having a bit of bish pass between the McLaren 720S here. Now able to just barely squeak past and get up into the lead of the race here. So not what Azure Gold wanted here, but I do have to commend Grimleaf, able to navigate through that very tricky situation, get into the lead of the race.
Definitely might have been hoping that things will go well. Basically, a little bit of arc brakes, and definitely has paid off for him. But now Azure definitely fuming, trying to push as hard as they could just to get it back. Right now, Titan Fox running a bit wide. I think they are definitely struggling in these wet conditions. Not sure what has happened with that car, but Joker not slowing down as well, trying to get past Foxy just so. I think they also want to get the position from Titan Fox as well.
It looks like Vossi is not giving up that position to Joker behind them. They are not required to give way because they are indeed in the same lap. They are in different classes, and it would be the courteous thing to give the a higher class car, let them by here. But it seems like Vossi is not saying anything to that. They're just saying, no, this is my spot. I have earned this top 10, and I'm not letting you get past me unless you make me. So bring it on. I'm here. That seems to be the message that Vossi has been sent to Joker. Let's gotta be able to see what Joker's gonna be answered to that in the final 18 minutes of the race here. So it's gonna be quite some interesting stuff to watch here for sure.
I mean, to be fair,
yellow flag happening from Newt and Lunatic. I do believe it's again another bit of an incident happening into the exit of turn 2. We're gonna have to check again on our time reports and see what exactly happened. We're going to be seeing a lot of different lapped cars here all around. Oh, quite a chaotic situation. We see JPEG Fox and another lap car, BMW. That's also MNU here. We're gonna be now seeing Newt also just sending it deep into turn 11. It's gonna be actually no, it's Luna missing their brakes, hitting the rear of Newt here. It's gonna be also JPEG causing a secondary incident into Newt's Mercedes AMG here. So that disaster for again both these cars who just seems to have not been able to get a clean race in any race so far with Newt here. But unfortunately, Lunatic was also collected in that incident, losing several positions even further down the field here from their very promising pole position, now all the way down in P4 in the silver class standings.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think they're just getting a little bit frustrated, and I think given how chaotic it was with the traffic, they kind of, I think, didn't see that breaking point, given that Newt was on the inside as well. And unfortunately, they were a bit too ambitious and collected a few people, and that is very unfortunate for them.
Yes, the stores are probably going to be looking into that incident later on in the after the race here, but we still again see Time Box seems to have been slipping away a little bit from Wushel, now sitting 1.3 seconds from Wushel's time here, with Time Box also losing a bit of time into Vossi, who is now getting even closer behind them. So we have actually also going to be a bit of an incident happening from Vossi, going wide into the exit of turn 4 here, and now giving Joker finally the opportunity to swing around wide here. So unfortunately, Vossi sent the car a little bit too fast around into that hairpin here, old hairpin here. Now giving the opportunity, right? Also can be seen at the front. It's going to be Cappy and Simon going side by side into the SS here, with Cappy getting that better launch into the chicane here. It's going to be that Simon definitely the inside here. It's going to be a bit of a rubbing here happening to the BMW and the Aston Martin here, but it's going to be Cappy also really extracting a lot out of that BMW M4, hoping to maybe get back up into the podium spot quite here again with a bit of a disapproving flash I do believe I saw happening from there. So Simon Luck is definitely bringing out their arms wide, just blocking the entirety of the track here and holding on to that, P4 position from Caffey.
Yeah, definitely putting really well effort, making Cafe work for it. Unfortunately, for the Essos, there's only one line to go through it, and unfortunately, you really have to back off once you're not there. And you can see Cafe not really happy for the fact that Simon has blocked them off, but it is just the characteristics of this track. It is what it is, but Cafe will have to keep their head down, maybe try to go for it again, maybe. But Simon is definitely a driver that you really can't pressure into making a mistake. So Cafe has to think about it, a different way just to get an overtake for the P4 position right now.
Yes, indeed. And also at the front of the pack here, we see Grim still holding on to that charge from Azure Gold here. But we're actually going to be seeing Plasma losing a bit of time to Grim and Azure so far, with Plasma now sitting 1.3 seconds a trip from the top two competitors here. We see a bit of a slide happening from the Ferrari 296 here, compromising the exit and giving Azure the opportunity to get even closer into the rear of that car down the Starkey straight here. I have a bit of a peak actually happening into the chicane as well, but it's not going to be quite close enough to make a move to stick here. But it seems like Azure has now flipped positions with Grim, with now Grim having to hold off that charge from the McLaren 720S behind them and hoping to keep that lead of the race here so far. With only 40 minutes of the race to go here, it's good. This could give Plasma another opportunity to get another move. Yes, we also see Azure sliding their rear into the exit of turn 11 here, so everybody really maximizing everything out of their cars here, going right up into the limit of grip here to keep this top three fight alive. So it's a very, very spicy fight.
I think Azure's right now hoping for a miracle in terms of lap traffic. They have definitely been very unfortunate with the traffic, and they really wish that it would be the same luck that Grim might have down the road. But I think, as we see underscore right now in the gravel, what has happened there? Oh, so close to the barrier. Hopefully they don't hit the barrier as they recover. As you see coming down into T7, I think it's going to be another case of going in a bit too deep. And, unfortunately, going wide and the snap, and that is it for underscore at T7. Lucky for them, no damage, so hopefully a good recovery drive, but 13 minutes remaining to this race, so hopefully keep it as clean as they could.
Yeah, well, someone who we have not been really talking about much at all is going to be the car number 22 of Vex, who has just been trucking a very quiet race so far here. There was quite a little bit of chaotic action happening at the start of the race here, but after that, he's just been settling in, keeping calm, keeping their head down and just driving in. They are sitting in a very impressive P15 so far, with their fellow competitor Zezor still down in P22, still holding on a podium spot in the AM class race so far, but Vex has just been able to just extract everything out of that Ferrari 296 here and keep on that AM class lead here. So it's looking to be another calm win so far, but we're going to have to return them later. It's kind of going to be now Joker getting up into the side of Tyne Fox here, now also having a challenge into the chicane section. It's not going to be enough to make a move to stick here, but we also see Bossy in the background hoping to also have an opportunity to make a move to stick. It's going to be, Joker spinning!
Oh, no.
He lost it! He spun it out! It's going to be even more time lost to the Bossy in front of them. It's going to be again all that progress they made just lost massively. Not going to be Bossy. No, so getting a charge ready up into Time Fox, going up into turn 11, turn 12 here. So again, a disaster for the McLaren 720S driver here. Losing all the time they had gained here so far from the previous laps of the race. Now going to be Bossy challenging up into the rear of Time Fox here towards turn 1 here. Not going to be enough to make a move to stick here so far, but Joker's going to be kicking themselves hard after that mistake there.
Yeah, definitely. They definitely didn't expect the speed difference that Tyan had going into the chicane with a compromised line. That is, as we see Tyan going out wide here, Vossi just taking advantage of that. Both the pro drivers right now on grid, basically losing it on this when 11 minutes remaining. As you see, they're going into the grass here and there. They're definitely getting really flustered, and Tyan should definitely be keeping it clean right now, just so they don't get as much time loss from Joker, as you see all just struggling right now in these kind of wet conditions. The rain is picking up, as you can see from the weather radar. I believe maybe some of them, their tires might have been a little bit too cold, a little bit too underinflated, and right now they are definitely struggling with the changing conditions, as you can see here.
It looks like they both just got caught up with a bit of a awkward moment into the chicane, with a bit of lap traffic around them, causing them to have a not as optimal of a lap and into the entry to the chicanes here. That's caused them to lose all that time here. But also at the top 3 fight here, we see all 3 of the cars here almost bumper to bumper glued up into the main straight here, with Asher getting really close into Grim, Plasma really close in the rear of Asher here, all just hoping to get that lead of the race here. But it's going to be Asher having a peek on the outside into turn 1, Grim shutting that door just there with Plasma still in the bracket. Hope to have a bit of a run. That's going to be getting Asher getting a run up into the inside of turn 3, turn 4 here. They're going to go in spine. It's going to be bumpy. It's going to be contact. Asher has been sent into the grass here. It's going to be spinning them wide into the gravel. That's going to be disaster for the Luna Enthusiast McLaren here. Now, so much time lost from that bump. Both of the drivers really aggressively, not leaving any space, and unfortunately, Asher had to pay the price for that.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't see how that was going to be happening. It was already a very ambitious move in the dries, but in the wets, there's really not much else Grim can do. As much as you want it to be, it is a very downhill section. It is going to be a left-hand turn, and unfortunately, with the loss of grip, you can only do so much to keep it as much before it starts to drift out wide. And as you're with such a narrow track, just unable to go anywhere, and unfortunately, just left it. The contact is basically inevitable at that point.
Yeah, it's really painful incident from the McLaren 720S driver here. They were leading the race here so well, but on just a few mistakes in the absolute worst moments of the race here cost them so much time. Now all the way down in P5 here, so they're going to be kicking themselves out of this race for sure. But there's still 10 minutes to go here, so anything can still happen. You actually also saw an overtake happening between Caffey and Simon, with Caffey now able to get up into the top 3 positions here, with Simon maybe hoping to get back up into have a bit of a challenge into Caffey's BMW M4 here. But looking at the pace here so far, it seems like Caffey slowly, actually I am mistaken, Caffey had a bit of a slide into the exit of turn 12 here, giving Simon the opportunity to get right up into the rear of that BMW M4 again here, with Simon having a bit of a look as well into the inside of turn 1 here, but it's not quite close enough to have a move to stick here. But it seems like everybody's just getting a bit flustered, just having those tiny oversteer moments here, losing a lot of time here, and just not giving them the space they need to actually get away cleanly with and keeping these fights alive.
Yeah, I think Simon will try to work really hard just for the last podium positions. It is gonna be a big stretch, but we can see here traffic right now right in front of Caffey. Simon will be really wishing that traffic might affect Caffey, and definitely that will be the opportunity for Simon to get the last podium position in this race.
You're also seeing a bit of fight happening between Intermediate and Coing currently down into the hairpin section of turn 11 and turn 12 here, with that 404 missing livery Ferrari for it. They were never going to be seeing that livery from that car, I do believe. All just hoping to get a move to stick on the BMW M4 car here, which seems like Coing is currently sitting all the way down in last place, hoping to maybe get a couple more positions up into the Silver Championship fight here, but it's not looking too hopeful so far. Actually, going to be seeing a yellow flag happening from Classy Fennekin. I do believe they had went a little bit too wide into the chicane section, again losing a bit more time here, but we're going to have to return to them later, because we're also going to be seeing again a fight happening between Anka and MN underscore into turn 12 here. Anka getting really close into the Aston Martin V8 engine car at the front here, hoping to just get that final bit of piece extracted from my car here. So it seems like with only 7 minutes of the lap race to go, everybody's still getting the absolute best of their cars here, just hoping to get those last overtakes done.
Yeah, definitely. When it's time, when's the better time to do it than now? Because in 10 minutes time, as you can see, the rain is picking up, and it's gonna be now or never, because when the rain picks up, it's gonna be even harder for the drivers to even get any sort of overtaking done, and as well as they're gonna be struggling just to keep it on track. And with these kind of changing conditions, it really is anyone's game at this point. Maybe even not do an overtake, maybe just pressure them just enough for them to scare and make a mistake. Underscore has been doing some mistakes here, and if Anchor has observed that situation here, maybe they are able to pressure Underscore into having another mistake. As you can see, Fennekin just now in the grass, as we see Vossi going past them just now into turn 5. Not sure what has happened to Fennekin. Maybe trying to get out of the way a bit too eagerly, as they see, a little bit of contact, unfortunately for them, and it's going to be a very, very unfortunate incident for them, especially this part of the track where it's just so narrow. There's only one line to the rest of the race.
Yeah, it looks like Foxy had an unfortunate incident with the lap traffic car ahead of him, and that lost him the position to Tyne Fox again. We also see Joker in the background also hoping to capitalize on these incidents happening at the front here, but it seems like Foxy has not lost any pace at all from that incident. They're still getting really close into the bumper of Tyne Fox, hoping to again perhaps make another move and get back up into the lead of the little fight here so far. But also, speaking of fighting, we see Plasma getting right up into the bumper of the Ferrari 296 of Grim so far here. Grim getting really wide into turn 1 here. We'll have a bit of wheel spin on the AstroTurf here so far, giving Plasma the better exit of the track here, getting right up into the rear of the car, going towards the old hairpin towards Starsky's bridge here. But it's gonna be all now for Grim to lose. they've just been getting so caught up in a lot of chaos at the early parts of the race here. So it's not going to be all down to see if Plasma can get past the controller driver Grim here and keep the lead of and get back up into the lead of the race here with so many incidents happening up and down and left and right and side to side of the entire race here.
Yeah, it definitely has been a very eventful race here, and given Plasma's track record, I think they're gonna go past Grim without an issue. But it's more of a time where time will tell when things could happen. As you see, coming back into a replay anchor, did something happen here? Coming into turn 7, a very hot spot for incidents. As you see, underscore. As we see again, going too wide in this corner. Actually, that's not even turn 7. That's turn 4 into wire pit, and that has been a position for anchor in this race.
And this is exactly the thing we're talking about with Anka just staying close behind Amen underscore, pressuring them to eventually make that mistake, and that was exactly the thing they needed to finally make that move to stick. And now going to be Anka inheriting up into the top, into P60 here, now hoping to have a charge into P15 ahead of the rising. It's going to be the Antwerp Vex here, so it's going to be interesting to see if they're going to have that happen here, but we're going to have to return to them later, because I'm also seeing a fight happening between Tyan, Bossy and Joker now all caught up together into the start. We also see a bit of a lap track around and all bunch of them up together going up into the chicane section towards the hairpins of turn 11 and turn 12 here with Bossy again. Have big sent into turn 11, getting almost into striking distance of that BMW N4 ahead of them, and Bossy's definitely extracting everything out of that Porsche and hoping to get back up into the P7 position that they had lost earlier. But it's going to be all down to in these final few minutes if they're going to be able to get that move to stick with time running out. We're going to be maybe seeing some more desperation moves happening from our competitors.
Yeah, with 4 minutes remaining, I think some of the drivers might want to take a couple of lunges on the hairpin, but if they don't do it right, we have seen tonight, a lot of incidents can happen when you forget to brake here. But as you see, oh my god, this is going to be a very, very awkward situation as they come down into the S's here, as Grim as well as Plasma Cohen just getting away just right in time for them. But as you can see, the leaders of the race just fighting for traffic very strongly right now. As Plasma trying to get on the inside, Grim might be a bit, as we see contact from the both of them coming into turn 11. I don't think Grim will be happy with that overtake, but they gotta have to fight back hard. They're having the preferred line coming into turn 12, and it's unfortunately a move done by Plasma, and Grim will settle down into P2. Oh, unfortunately, no. As I said too much.
Oh my god.
Plasma. A lockup, a very strong lockup.
Yeah, that was a very brave overtake happening from Plasma, driving their car into the tiniest bit of space on the inside of turn 11 here, but unfortunately they were a bit too flustered with that overtake, finally being able to stick. Now losing the rear in turn 12 here, giving Grimlet the position back with 3 minutes left to go here. We're probably going to be seeing some more desperation dives happening from Plasma with these final few minutes of the race here. We still have no idea who's going to be winning this race here. It's going to be Plasma, is it going to be Grim, is it going to be Kathy? Oh, no. This could be anything happening here. We're also going to be seeing a drive-through penalty happening for Taichi Gami. Finally, those track limits costing them dearly, losing them even more position in the back here. But it's going to be all down to these two competitors here, almost bumper to bumper, going through turn 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Almost nothing separating these two cars here. All just desperately hoping to get that top step of the podium here with nobody giving any space here. So it's going to be really spicy last few minutes here.
Yeah, it's not just spicy for the front as well. You can see just how Lunatic going out wide. I think there's going to be a lot of scraps at the back of the grid as well, with so many different drivers just struggling with these changing conditions. And I think the rain is picking up, and I think for some it's definitely a bit too much for them as they see some drivers getting drive-thrus. But right now, just everyone's just in it for himself. Plasma might have a couple more dives. I think it's going to be 2 more laps until the checkout flag. So they really, if they want to do it, it's going to be in 2 laps time. They have to do it, or they might just settle in P2 for this race.
Yeah, we'll have to see what there's going to be happening, but we're also going to be seeing still a fight happening between Bossy, Tyne, and Joker. Now both all really close to each other. We see Joker again doing some more disapproving flashes to the silver driver, caught up in this fight between 2 pro drivers here in the middle here, but Bossy is again saying, no, you passed me. You get around me if you want to, and he's making that very absolutely clear. We're going to be seeing Joker getting a bit of a dive into turn 11, but it's going to be Bossy now forced to go wide. Finally, probably forcing to concede that position. That's going to be no. It's not going to be better. It's going to be Bossy now on the charge into the inside of turn 12. It's going to be almost contact between the Joker's McLaren and Bossy's Porsche. And it's going to be going side by side again. It's going to be contact between McLaren and Porsche here. Again, Bossy very scrapping his way back up into the lead of fight here. Again, more disapproving flashing happening from Joker. That's going to be Joker again, hoping to have another dive going up into turn one here. Hoping to get that squeeze done again. Vossi forced to go wide, losing that exit speed here, now giving Joker again the opportunity to get up into the charge here. Now, holding the lead, going up down the hill into turn 3, 4, and 5 here. That's going to be Vossi, unfortunately, seeming to not able to hold their car in line here, now losing all that time and finally losing the position to Joker after a lot of fighting.
Yeah, definitely a very strong fight for Vossi. I think Vossi trying to get the overall points as well, besides the class points. But right now, I think Plasma has fallen back from Grim. I think Grim has definitely have this in the bag. At this point, we don't even see where Grim is compared to Plasma. I think something might have happened with Plasma, but unfortunately, final lap, not this lap at least, there's still one more lap. But if they're able to hold it, oh my god, Newt's car has seen better days at this point. But if Grim is able to hold it for another lap, things might, it's going to be Grim that might end this race with a P1.
Yeah, it is looking very likely so far here, with now Grim going across the finish line. It's indeed going to be white flag. This will be the final lap here. It seems like Plasma had a mistake somewhere along the track that lost them several seconds to Grim Lilith ahead of them. So we're going to have to maybe look at the replay again later after the race here to see who will be, what actually happened there. But we're going to be seeing everybody else seeming to have spread apart a little bit, where it's still a fight happening between Joker and Vossi. It seems that actually, no, it's going to be Joker getting away from Vossi at the front of the grid as well here and losing all that time. So it's looking like at the final hour, at the final minute of this race, it seems like actually, no, excuse me, there's a yellow flag happening. It seems like somebody said it was actually the car of Blade sending a bit too hard into the chicane, losing a bit of time here. But it seems like they were not nearby anybody to lose any of that time so far. But yeah, with the last minute of the race, it seems like with a lot of chaos, a lot of carnage, it seems like everybody can take a big sigh of relief here and just get their car over the finish line in one piece. And it's looking very much like with Grim, only a couple corners left to go with Grim. He's going to be the one to win here. They have just been fighting so hard, starting from, I think it was all the way up in P5. I have to have a quick look at my statistics. Indeed, they started from P5, fought their way through Wushel, through Plasma, through Azure. A lot of scrapping, a lot of fighting, but through it all, it's going to be now Grim Lilith going across into the final corner here through turn 12. Again, just getting that car nice and tidy through into the exit of turn 12 here, unleashing that power for the one last time. It's going to be Grim over the finish line, securing P1 over Plasma, who has had a chaotic race, but still able to get that car up into P3, V2 here, despite all that's been thrown at him. We still also see Cappy in the bracket able to secure P3, running out our top 3 in the Pro Championship. So a very, very chaotic race so far.
Yeah, definitely very chaotic. Unfortunately, as a chaotic start it was, we kind of saw it. Fortunately, for the very end of the race, started to settle down, but just before the end of the race, things have been heating up, and it's been a very interesting race to end on. And as we see Vossi, our first silver driver, going past the lines, our winner for silver champ this time around. It's pretty interesting to see Vossi right now in P1 for the class, as you see Aura is actually coming down into the last 2 corners and gonna be securing the 2nd place in silver class.
Yes, indeed, it was a very interesting race for our silver drivers here. Vossi getting caught up in the scrappy fights between the pro drivers even here, but still Vossi was able to secure that win in the silver classification as well. We also missed Vex going across the finish line, also able to secure that very dominant again win in the AM classification right here, right in between 4 different pro drivers here. So I am absolutely convinced that after this race here, we're going to be seeing, after this season here, we're going to be seeing Vex up into the silver class, perhaps even in pro class here, if they can keep up this kind of pace going here. We're also going to be seeing a funny few of our cars here with Juan now crossing the finish line in P22. We're also going to be seeing now JPEG Fox still on the track and now going across the finish line, rounding out our race here down in P27. So, a very, very chaotic, but a very entertaining race here. A lot of fighting happening in all the classifications here with a very, very entertaining race so far.
Yeah, and also actually, if you realize, the Zizor actually crawled back up into the grid and got P3 in class as well. So a very good recovery drive from the driver that has a lot of incidents this time around as well.
Yes, indeed, and I am out of breath after all that. And I think from us here in the commentary box and from everybody else here, we all need a break here, because after this race, it's going to be a week-long break before we're going to be heading into the 5th round of our GT3 Season 5 Championship in Watkins Glen. Next week is going to be a Midwest Fur Fest, where a lot of our competitors are going to be going to, so we're going to be having a 1-week break here, but there will still be plenty of racing action to be looking forward to in the week after that, so we're going to be hopefully looking forward to all of that. So, any thoughts at the end of this race here?
It has been an amazing drive for every driver here, and it's going to be a very fun, it's going to be a well deserved 1-week break for the drivers, you know, for some of the drivers to enjoy their time at MFF, but for us as well commentators, just to take a break from all the shouting, from all the incidents, and as well as all the strong and amazing races that we have seen so far here. But if you are a newcomer here looking into the stream, if you want to join Simufur, link is in the description below. We do race in things outside of ACC as well. We do race in iRacing, ACC. We do have a rally championship as well. If you are interested in joining our community, you should definitely check us out in the link in the description below. We also have 2 more races this season. So if you want to join us in this chaotic grid, why not sign up? You can join us in Discord, or you can also follow us on Twitter. And actually, no, X now at this point. But yeah, it has been very interesting.
Yes, indeed, and I think everybody here is definitely going to be needing that week-long break to recharge our batteries and get back up into the swing of things. So from everybody here at Simufur and in the commentary box, we're going to be saying a big heartfelt thank you for tuning into this very fun race here, and we're going to be hoping to see even more of that good stuff in Watkins Glen in a couple weeks' time. But for now, from all of us here, we're going to be wishing you a very pleasant night.
Bye.